This is the story of how one of the greatest British invasion bands earned millions but saw almost none of it, destroyed by a single contract credit and management so bad it would haunt them for decades. 10 top 20 hits in both the UK and US, nearly 5 million copies of one song alone, and a sound that helped shape rock and roll as the first folk rock hit to top the charts. Eric Burdon and the Animals created all of that, then spent years fighting over royalties, bitter and broke, unable to even speak to each other. The untold story of the Animals isn't just about the music, it's about what happens when young working-class musicians from Newcastle get handed a #1 hit and a contract they don't fully understand.
I learned quite a lot when I was...
Eric Victor Burdon joined a band called the Alan Price Rhythm and Blues Combo in Newcastle upon Tyne, England in 1962. Born on May 11, 1941 in Walker, Newcastle, his middle name Victor came from a £25 reward offered by the Lord Mayor of Newcastle to mothers who gave their children patriotic names. Matt, his father, came from Tyneside, while his mother Renee came from Ireland but had moved to Scotland before settling in Newcastle in the 1930s. When Burdon joined, the group spun off into something new, and that's when the real Animals formed. Alan Price played organ and keyboards, Hilton Valentine handled guitar, Chaz Chandler took bass, and John Steele sat behind the drums. What they needed now was a name. Multiple accounts exist about where the Animals came from. Burdon claimed it was a tribute to a local Newcastle gang member nicknamed Animal Hog, and he denied the common myth that they were named for their wild stage performances. John Steele tells it differently, saying Graham Bond suggested the name when they swapped gigs with the Yardbirds at Newcastle's club A Go-Go. Whatever the truth, the name stuck. Regular performances at the club A Go-Go in Newcastle defined their 1963, where they supported American blues legends like John Lee Hooker and Sonny Boy Williamson. The blues meant everything to these young men, and as Burdon later put it, the blues pretty much meant the world to him. January 1964 brought the move every British group dreamed of, London. Signing to EMY's Columbia label and securing a producer named Mickey Most came next, and their first single, Baby Let Me Take You Home, got them started. But the second single didn't just change their career, it changed who got paid and who didn't.
I met my first love at...
A dispute exists about how the Animals first heard House of the Rising Sun. Burdon claimed they learned it from folk singer Johnny Handel in Newcastle, while Steele said it came from Bob Dylan's first album. Either way, they made it theirs. 3 days at the club, A Go-Go in Newcastle went into working out the arrangement, according to Steele. Price wanted acoustic strumming, but Valentine developed an arpeggio version, which led to Price storming off over the disagreement. When Price returned, as Steele put it, all he had to do was drop in the organ solo. Steele emphasized that everybody had a part in it. Changing the lyrics from being about a female prostitute to a male gambler got them BBC airplay, and they shifted the time signature from 4/4 to 6/8. Price's Vox Continental organ drew inspiration from Jimmy Smith's Walk on the Wild Side for the drum pattern. A small studio on Kingsway in London hosted the recording on May 18, 1964, where they captured the House of the Rising Sun in one take. 15 minutes. No overdubs, just 5 young men playing together in mono. Producer Mickey Most initially didn't even want to record it, but after they finished, he knew they had something special. Everything sat in the right place, he said, and because it only took 15 minutes to make, he couldn't take much credit for the production. One problem emerged. The song ran 4 minutes and 30 seconds long, which radio considered far too long at the time. Most defended it, declaring they lived in a microgroove world now and would release it anyway. Released in June 1964 in the UK and July 25, 1964 in the US, House of the Rising Sun hit #1 in the UK in July and claimed the top spot in the US on September 5, 1964, where it stayed for 3 weeks. The first British invasion #1 hit, unconnected with the Beatles, the song sold nearly 5 million copies worldwide. At the time of its release, 4:30 made it the longest song to ever top the charts, and music critics would later call it the first folk rock hit. The song's influence ran deep. Bob Dylan jumped out of his car and banged on the bonnet when he first heard the Animals version on his radio, Steele recalled. That moment inspired Dylan to go electric, and Burdon later said Dylan went electric in the shadow of the Animals' classic House of the Rising Sun. Brian Jones called Burdon the best blues singer to ever come out of England. Their debut album peaked at number 7 on Billboard Top LPs during a 27-week run, and the Animals appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show on October 18, 1964. One of the biggest bands in the world, and that's when the problems began. If you love the hidden side of rock history, this channel is built for you. House of the Rising Sun is a traditional folk song, which means it sits in the public domain. No one owns it, but someone can own the arrangement of a traditional song, and arrangement credit means songwriter royalties. All 5 members would share the income from the song, the band was told. That's what they believed would happen. That's what they were promised. But when the record came out, only one name appeared on the label as arranger: Alan Price. Insufficient room to list all 5 members, the management claimed, so only Price's name went down. And that meant only Alan Price received the royalties, all of them. "I hope he fries in fucking hell," Burden would later tell his biographer Sean Egan. In another interview, he said they all could have done with the extra cash, but he guessed Alan Price felt he needed it more than anyone else. John Steele tried to be more diplomatic, admitting it rankled more with Hilton and Eric than anybody else, but he confirmed that everybody had a part in it. Think about what this meant: the band's biggest hit, nearly 5 million copies sold worldwide, and 4 of the 5 men who created it saw nothing. Touring non-stop, playing 3 US tours and 2 European tours in their first 15 months together, while Alan Price collected checks for a song they had all arranged together over 3 days in Newcastle. May 1965 brought Price's departure from the band. Exhaustion and fear of flying served as the official reason, but his bandmates tell a different story. He must have got his first royalty check, Chas Chandler reportedly said. This wasn't the only financial disaster facing the Animals. Total shambles, according to Chas Chandler, described the band's business affairs. Their manager, Don Arden, lost the Animals millions of dollars in shady tax deals, Burden's autobiography mentions. Burden later described it brutally, saying they lost their monies in the Bermuda Triangle. 3 albums and 6 singles in their first 15 months, 3 US tours and 2 European tours in that same period. Burden put it bluntly: they toured non-stop for almost 2 years, hardly a day off, for zero. Too much hard graft for precious little financial reward, he described it. In essence, it ruined my life, Burden said, and he felt like a prisoner in dressing rooms with schedules controlling every moment. British bands in the 1960s commonly faced terrible management, bad contracts, and musicians too young and inexperienced to know they were being exploited. But for the Animals, the devastation hit harder because they were genuinely successful. This wasn't a band that failed to get hits. 10 top 20 hits in both the UK and US, their 1966 compilation album The Best of the Animals becoming their best-selling album in America. Talent they had, songs they had, but the money they never saw. Burden reflected years later: "I don't think that the Animals got a chance to evolve if the Animals had stuck together and worked together, instead of worrying about who was getting all the money. But they didn't stick together." John Steele left in February 1966, replaced by Barry Jenkins, and Chas Chandler left mid-1966. By September 1966, the original incarnation of the Animals had split up, but Burden wasn't done. December 1966 saw him form Eric Burden and the Animals with a new lineup, and they moved to California and reinvented themselves as a psychedelic and progressive rock band. This version had hits too: San Franciscan Nights, When I Was Young, Sky Pilot, Monterey. But the biggest hit came with We Gotta Get Out of This Place, written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, which became an unofficial anthem for American soldiers in Vietnam. By the end of 1968, that band also fell apart. Chas Chandler, meanwhile, discovered a guitarist named Jimi Hendrix in a Greenwich Village club and convinced him to come to England, managing the Jimi Hendrix Experience and helping shape their sound. Burden and Hendrix became very close friends, and when Hendrix overdosed in 1970, his girlfriend called Burden. September 16, 1970, the night before Hendrix died, his last public performance came when he joined Eric Burden and War on stage at Ronnie Scott's Club in London. Burden had joined War in 1969, a funk and soul band formed in San Francisco and Los Angeles. April 1970 brought the album Eric Burden Declares War, which peaked at number 18 in the US. May 1970 brought Spill the Wine, a song whose title came from an accident when wine spilled on the mixing console at Wally Heider Studios in San Francisco. number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and Billboard ranked it the 20th song of 1970. But in 1971, an asthma attack dropped Burden on stage, and he left war mid-European tour. The original Animals reunited in 1975 and released an album in 1977 called Before We Were So Rudely Interrupted. It didn't recapture the magic. May 1983 brought another attempt. The original lineup reunited and released an album called Arc on June 16, 1983, with singles The Night and Love Is For All Time, followed by a world tour. December 31, 1983 saw them play Wembley Arena, which was released as Greatest Hits Live Rip It to Shreds in 1984. During that 1983 reunion, they held a meeting where Chas Chandler proposed sharing the House of the Rising Sun royalties going forward. Go fuck yourself, or words to that effect, came from Alan Price, according to those present. Then he left. By the end of 1984, the original Animals broke up for the final time. 1994 brought induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Burden did not attend. He had a gig in Dusseldorf, Germany. The band did not perform at the ceremony. Years later, a legal battle over who owned the name erupted. December 2008 saw Burden lose a 3-year legal battle when drummer John Steele was granted the trademark for the Animals name in the UK, based on his membership during the band's heyday. But September 2013 brought Burden's successful appeal, and he was ruled entitled to use the band name in the UK. Bruce Springsteen, speaking at his March 2012 SXSW keynote, talked about what the Animals meant to him. To me, the Animals were a revelation. They were the first records with full-blown class consciousness I'd ever heard. About "We Gotta Get Out of This Place," he said that's every song I've ever written, and he introduced Burden as the man that I stole every song I ever wrote. House of the Rising Sun was ranked number 123 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time in 2003, and We Gotta Get Out of This Place was ranked number 233 on the same list. Both songs sit in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. 2008 saw Eric Burden ranked number 57 in Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Singers of All Time. But by then, 2 of the original 5 were gone. A heart attack killed Chas Chandler on July 17, 1996, and Hilton Valentine died on January 29, 2021. Alan Price lives privately and has refused interviews about the band's history. John Steele continues touring with Animals and Friends. And Eric Burden? At 84 years old, he's still on the road. 1998 brought his official adoption of the name Eric Burden and the New Animals. And in 2016, he formed his current lineup, which has remained stable since. 90-minute to 2-hour shows define his performances now, and reviews note that his voice remains powerful, though he picks his spots. Animals hits plus solo material fill the set lists. The story of Eric Burden and the Animals is the story of working-class kids from Newcastle who recorded one of the greatest songs in rock and roll history in 15 minutes, only to watch it all fall apart over a single name on a record label and management that treated them like products instead of artists. They were told they'd share everything and believed in the music and in each other. But when the money came, and it was millions, 4 of the 5 saw almost nothing. Bitterness from that betrayal poisoned every reunion, destroyed friendships, and meant that a band which should have evolved together instead spent decades in legal battles and bitter silence. The House of the Rising Sun has been re-released twice in the UK, hitting number 25 in 1972 and number 11 in 1982. Hundreds of covers exist, and nearly every person alive has heard that iconic organ line and Eric Burden's raw, blues-soaked voice warning about a life gone wrong in New Orleans. But the men who created it never got to enjoy what they built together. In essence, it ruined my life, Burden said. That's the untold story, not just the hits and the Hall of Fame induction, but what happened when 5 young musicians discovered that success and fairness don't always go hand in hand, and that sometimes the person taking your money is sitting right next to you on stage. Eric Burden is still out there singing those songs, still touring at 84, still carrying the story of what the Animals were and what they might have been. Still proving that the music was real, even if everything else around it was broken.
The platform, yeah, yeah.